Today's video is all about the Gather Round government unit, and I'm going to tell you what I thought about it, and more specifically, did it work for my 7-year-old all the way through my middle schooler. So stay tuned and find out. The sun keeps popping in and out behind a cloud. I'm sorry, you're just going to have to deal with it. I can't control the sun. That's his job. Apparently he wants you to see me dark and then see me light again. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Rachel and I am a homeschooling mom to 3, and we've been homeschooling since 2015. I was really excited about this particular government unit because I love politics.
Sadly, now I try not to watch anything about it because it's too much for me.
But I'm very intrigued by it and I enjoyed it when I was in school, learning about the Constitution and all of that, and I was excited to be able to teach my children about how our government works, especially since it was an election year and they usually go vote with me. So this was a mini unit, so it does not claim to be all of the subjects as some of the other Gather Round units do. Maybe writing, definitely history, civics. The cost of the mini unit is $35 plus printing if you're not purchasing the physical copy from them. My guesstimate on printing at 6 cents a sheet, that's how much my home printer costs to print. I have an HP ink subscription. It costs about $4 for each student manual after that, and then about $8 for me to print the teacher's manual, because the teacher's manual is going to have quite a few more pages in it than the student notebooks.
I think I said student manual, but I meant student notebooks.
What were the pros about the U.S. history unit? I was really excited to learn this with my kids. I think civics is something everybody should know, and sadly I've seen many YouTube videos of people going to college campuses or just out to the sidewalks and asking people basic questions about how our government works, and people don't know.
And these are people who vote.
So I want my children to grow up to be informed voters and understanding how we are supposed to work here. This unit, the information, it was really, really good information. As an adult, I really enjoyed relearning some of these things that I had forgotten, like the 2/3 compromise or some of the other compromises that happened, being reminded of various definitions, like what were the Articles of Confederation. I enjoyed the references to Schoolhouse Rock.
I mean, let's face it, Schoolhouse Rock rocks.
Those videos on YouTube, my children really enjoyed it. They wanted to play the preamble to the Constitution, Schoolhouse Rock's videos almost daily. My junior high student was able to pick up a lot, and what I remember from my own education was 8th grade was when we learned a lot about this and took our Constitution test. So junior high age, maybe that is like the sweet spot for learning this. The most fun activity we did for this unit was our election, and I will tell you more about that later in this video, but it was super fun. And my husband and I realized we may have a future actress on our hands. But this election provided lots of giggles, as my children are very amusing, so entertaining, and so much fun. More about this later in the video. Having said that, the cons. A lot of it was very complex, especially for the 7-year-old. She was disinterested most of the time and just wanted to color. So she likes sitting at the table and doing things with us, but she wasn't getting in the, even when I was quizzing on vocabulary, I mean, ratification, legislature, a senate, all that stuff, those are really big words, and learning our government, it's a very complex idea. Is this appropriate for all ages, for family style? I really don't think so. I suppose if you're going to do this with your older child anyway, and it's only $4 to print out the others, but I felt like these were more complex. It's not necessarily a family style topic. so my younger ones were much less interested. The project was creating your own country. I thought that sounded like a really cool idea at first, and my kids enjoyed the first couple assignments about it. But when it got down to, well, who's going to make your laws and what kind of a government are you going to have? Are you going to have a republic or a democracy and all these things? Like, whew, again, to my younger kids.
It just, at that point, it kind of felt a little bit like busy work.
So we kind of cut that part out early on. It wasn't necessary, and we had other schoolwork to do. I was a little bit disappointed in some of the notebooking pages because it seemed like a lot of them were just take notes. Just take notes. I don't know what I was expecting, but the notebooking pages some days were pretty boring. So what am I paying for? There just weren't as many activities in this mini unit as I thought. So again, that depends on if you want activities or if you don't. Again, this is a mini unit, so if you're just going to get the information out, I really think this is geared more towards older kids. I think it is a good mini unit for a civics unit for middle school or maybe even high school, because like I said, I remembered what I had learned and enjoyed that as an adult. We looked up a lot of extra YouTube videos that I knew about. America, The Story of Us is one of my favorite documentaries. I think it's got 9 hours worth of content. We've gotten those DVDs from our library before, but I think in little small snippets, they are on YouTube also. So it's kind of like a reenactment of American history starting from the 1600s all the way through 9/11. So we watched things like that. That was really more history-based than just purely government, but I considered this government unit like history for us because I supplemented with the Good and the Beautiful Science Marine Biology unit. The information was very good. Is the information sufficient enough to be able to take the Constitution test? In my state, the student passing a Constitution test is a requirement for graduation. Is it enough information? I don't know actually, because I don't know what's on that test. So that would be, if you are doing this for a high schooler, I would look into, but if I had to guess, I would say probably this is pretty good information. But as a family subject, no. So I feel torn because I really enjoyed the unit. I think my middle schooler enjoyed the unit. Now, one of the best things about the unit, and if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen my story when we had our little election. So we did that activity. That was a fun one, I will say. I had my older two. My younger one really didn't want to do this at all. She just wanted to watch them. My older two had to say if they were running for president, what they would do. So they kind of wrote their little speeches. My 11-year-old decided that she was going to make the signs, and she gave herself a new name, and my son gave himself a new name. So here's what I put on Instagram. What do we got here?
Henley Harrison!
Woo! No, Henley Anderson.
Sorry.
And who is the other candidate?
Joe Mama!
Joe Mama!
Joe Mama.
Joe!
COVID-19 will end if you elect me. I know we all want that, right? Visit the White House for free to see me in it.
4 more years. Go Henley!
Thank you, Dad. I mean, stranger that I don't know.
Security, please.
Him? Steal this country? Or are you gonna fight for our freedom?
You gotta fight for your right.
Thank you.
For free.
Thank you. Vote for the one who is right for this USA. Vote for Henley Anderson!
Woo!
Woo! Uh-oh. Opposing side. All right, Joe. Let's hear your speech.
Joe Mama!
I stole it while I
The
was riding in
person
the
who
building.
will win this!
Number 2, I would make Chicago a state because I could their city apart from the rest of Illinois.
Interesting.
Would vote for that.
And finally, number 3, I would entirely reopen with the country.
Joe Mama!
Okay,
Joe Mama! Joe Mama!
I am
Joe
Joe Mama.
Mama.
Thank you for listening, and I would very much appreciate your vote, Mama 2020.
All right.
It's an election where there's only one vote that matters.
I appreciate your guys' arguments, and I have come to a conclusion, and the Lord has put it on my heart not to vote for either. Good luck. God bless.
Wait! I already put Joe Mama on.
So that was really fun for a fun Friday morning, just for them to put together their little speeches and have fun with it. That was a very, very good activity. But do I need gather round in order to do that activity? No. I feel torn at the cost of what I'm paying. I feel like I'm really only paying for the information. If I'm going to give my kids information and then tell my son, okay, now go research something about this topic and write a paper and come back, I really don't need gather round. I don't need these notebooks in order to do that. Can I use any history curriculum or any government curriculum and do the same thing? I feel like I could. I'm gonna get more into my final review of all things from these 2 gather round units that we tried in my next video, which is why we are no longer going to be pursuing any gather round units. Kids, I'm gonna adjust this. I feel like the sunlight keeps moving. What was that? Oh, my mind just went blank. Literally, I just had this in my head. The gather round government unit. Clearly, I learned it really, really well. Anyway, there were some definitions that I didn't remember that I was reminded. I think maybe I should get those vocab words out and study again.
Now, Go close the curtain again. Fish. Back and forth, back and forth.
If this review was helpful for you, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye.